Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Iolande Argent Show. My guest today will be Dr. Jeff Shuford. He will be joining me in just a moment. Don't forget to join us Labor Day weekend for the Women's Virtual Success Summit, being hosted all 4 days. It's entirely online, and it's free to register. Just go to the www.womensvirtualsuccesssummit.com and register.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
You got the mascot working there. That looks good.
Hey, I appreciate it. I mean, last night around 8 o'clock, I got an email from the Huffington Post staff, and they invited me to be a contributor on the Huffington Post. So I actually wrote my first article last night. So if you go to the Tech from Vets page, you'll be able to read it.
Okay.
And it's a huge deal. So I have a meeting today. I'm going to be presenting an award from the Disabled American Veterans Association, a Community Heroes Award. So I mean that, and I have other things going on today. So it was imperative that I dressed the part today. But I am not in my office.
I see.
I'm at my home office.
Okay. And you got all your look at that picture of you back there. I see you at the yep, I see that. Yeah.
That's actually the picture I used for my first article in the Huffington Post, which is called "You Should Run Your Business Like a Tech Startup." So feel free to go to our Tech from Vets page and check it out if you have not already, or reference it, or however you'd like to do so. And yeah, let me figure out where I'm going to be. Where's the best point for me to be? Let me pick out a square. Okay, that was a good square. All right. So whenever you're ready, feel free. Well, how have you been? I can't hear you again. I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. If you can hear me, I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Man, let me make sure it's not something on my end. Yeah, it's not my end.
All right.
There we go.
Weird. Very weird. Okay. Oops. Now if I can just get that to behave. Come on. Set up. Whoops. Or not. Gotta love it. Okay. Can you still hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Welcome to the show, and why don't you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on the show. And I am Dr. Jeff Shuford. I'm the president of Tech from Vets. We are an award-winning mobile application development company that specializes on developing mobile applications for business owners and entrepreneurs to help them increase their revenue through technology.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that? When did you first decide to start this company?
Well, December of last year, I decided to start the company. If anybody wants to know more about me and my story and my business, you can. We've been featured in a Jacksonville Business Journal, and we also have a feature in the Huffington Post. But basically, I started the business because I was an executive of a charity, and when we didn't have a website. So in order to secure a donation from a really big organization, the first question they asked was, what's your website? And, I didn't have a great enough excuse for them. So what I decided to do was just build it myself. And I already knew HTML from growing up and having the computer science classes while in high school and middle school. So I decided to do it myself, and she called me back and she said, the website is beautiful, and let's link up so I can give you the donation. So that was, at that moment, I realized how beneficial it was and mandatory it was for businesses, charities, and all organizations to have a digital presence.
There it goes. Okay. So that's interesting that you didn't have one and she waited for you to build one. So how did you get her to wait until you built one?
Well, I mean, I told her, I said, just can you give me about 2 weeks and I'll send you the link to the website because we're currently working on building it right now. And I said we as everybody, and it was really me. And it was a veterans organization. So they give us a little bit more slack than they would a traditional, charity. So because of that reason, I got a little bit of slack, and I called her within that week and I said, it's done. Here's the website. And she went to it and she really liked it. And she wanted to donate. So that was really big for me to understand how beneficial it was to have a digital presence.
Interesting. It's amazing that, let's talk a little bit about websites and how they actually are now your presence. Doesn't matter if you got a brick and mortar, doesn't matter if you're a legitimate business, you need to have a website.
Yeah, exactly. And, websites, if they're not into your business plan, then you are doing your business plan a complete disservice. Of course, it's mandatory that they're in your business plan, but some people just feel as though if they have a great product or service, then they can just launch it and then people will come to them. But then you reach that critical stage of on your business cards, where's your website? Now nobody really wants to see Jeff Shuford at gmail.com for my email. People will want to see Jeff at techfromvets.com. It's more professional. So because we have a way that we weed out whether something is legit or not, right? We use, do they have a website? When I search for them on Google, are they found? Is anybody else talking about them? Do they have a Facebook? Do they have a Twitter? Are they posting? Do people like their page? Are they engaging with people, right? So we use all these different ways to judge whether the business that we want to patronize is something we want to do. So when I go to restaurants, the first thing I do is look at reviews. After I look at reviews, I go to their website and I look at their menu because they may have things on their menu I may not like. So for me, when people really sit back and look at how much they actually use digital technology, they will be surprised with how much they actually rely on it. I mean, the average person spends 10 hours and 39 minutes on their devices a day. And that doesn't include, sending mail, sending pictures, that's just apps and browsing the web. So you have to make sure that if you are a business owner, that you have the technology to make yourself and your business accessible to the masses. Right.
I think that people would be surprised. Like you said, you check out the reviews, you check out you go out to check out menus. My cell has now become my GPS go-to. Sometimes I just turn it on. I already know where I'm going. I just turn it on a lot of times just to check traffic.
Exactly. And you know what you say is critical, and that's why in our mobile applications we integrate. It's better on Google than Apple. Apple doesn't really like going away from their navigation, but in Google, what we do is we integrate Google Maps into the Google Android applications that we develop, so that consumers can find businesses easier, and they can get the routes, whether on their bus, whether they're on a bike, whether they're walking, and that critical traffic information you need to get to that place at that certain time. So,
Right.
you know, for us, you know, we're talking about websites, and mobile apps are dominating right now. So just to talk about websites is like talking about a typewriter. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's yesterday's technology that can still be used today, but we see the big companies moving more towards mobile and less towards desktop. That's why if you look at your computer, you'll notice that there aren't as many desktop applications being made, right? I remember, you know, 10, 15 years ago, you know, our favorite companies had a desktop app that you could get on your computer. Desktop applications are becoming obsolete. So it's like the BlackBerry phone, which I'm an obsolete guy. I still carry a BlackBerry.
Okay. Props to BlackBerry.
It's the new BlackBerry though. It's not the old one. It's
Yeah,
the new BlackBerry Passport. So I love Blackberries. I love it.
And, you know, I was looking. I think I have one of the old ones. I remember the little tiny ones with the little keypad thing.
Was that the BlackBerry Pearl or the BlackBerry Bold?
I think it's a Pearl somewhere.
Yeah, on my Blackberries. And you know, when we talk about technology, to hit back on it, so I use this device because I'm a writer for the Huffington Post now. So this keypad right here helps me grow my brand, because I don't like using a virtual keyboard. So I like actually pressing buttons while I'm typing, you know, and you know, that's why, you know, this is so beneficial. Plus emails are great, security is great, but you know, nobody wants to hear that. But buttons actually aid me. So, you know, it goes back to what we're talking about in regards to leveraging technology, leveraging having a website for your business, you know, having a mobile application in your business plan to have developed, so you can reach those millennials with that $2 trillion buying power right now, who's living with their parents, 70% of them, so they have nothing but money to spend on your service. They don't have mortgages and real bills, right? So they can afford to buy your service or your product. So, you know, it's critical that businesses look at, you know, the article I wrote last night. You can go to our Tech from Vets page and you'll see the article posted there, or you can go to Huffington Post, but it's easier to go to our Facebook page, Tech from Vets. And you'll see the article that I wrote that's titled, "You Should Run Your Business Like a Tech Startup." And what that's about is, you know, everyone wants to look at modeling their businesses after the people that are succeeding in businesses the most. I mean, it's what you need to do. If you want to have a restaurant, then you need to model your restaurant after Sweetie Pie's restaurant, right? I mean, she's expanding. She has her own TV show. She's good on social media. She's on her own network, which means she's partnered with Oprah in some sort of way, right? If you want to have a fast food restaurant, you need to look at McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, right? So in order for businesses to look at what is going to work for them, they should look at what do tech companies do to make themselves so successful. Well, it's not that they know how to use every single technology. It's the fact that they know how to leverage every single technology that can help grow their business. So you may not be great on Twitter at first, but if you keep on posting, after about 3 weeks, you'll be a Twitter expert, right? You will be an expert. So that's the goal, is what tech companies, what we like to do is we like to tinker, right? We like to tinker with different with different mediums, and businesses should do the same thing. I mean, never feel as though, technology would pull a wedge between your customers and your business, because when used properly, technology can bring people together and bring customers in your business and new customers to your business. So.
Yeah, that's true. And as you were saying about technology, I had forgotten completely. My new, the new laptops are designed to be turned into tablets, as well as keep their keyboard. Because I have my portable keyboard at all times.
What you say is key. I didn't mean to cut you off, but what you say is key, because Google has just sent me an email telling me that for the new Chromebook, that they're going towards actual applications, Google applications. So that means that I have a new market now, right? Because now I can get into laptop, software and technology, because it's the same software that you're using. You, not to get too technical, I mean, you change, of course, the pixels of the images. Maybe instead of a 1242 by 2208, you'll probably have a 4,000 by 5,000, but the premise is still the same, right? It's icons on the screen you can press that takes you to a specific part of the application, or it takes you away to to a web view portion, and it's the same concept. So it's definitely interesting that you hit on that, and I'm excited to see as technology grows, and I just want to be on the forefront of it.
I just wish it would stop growing so fast. Every 5 minutes, I got to get a new device. That part, pick something and make sure it works right. So we quit having 1 minute it's what is it? The little Surface books that you flip and, flip around and set up like a tent, and oh wait, let's detach this and let's plug. It's like, fix something once.
Well, what you say is key, and for me, I have 5 tablets myself, and I'd say out of those 5 tablets, the least expensive tablet that I own is the best one. I don't know why it's the best one, but it runs fast. Maybe they spend all the money in marketing. Like maybe the reason we're spending $600 for these things is because, we had to discover it on TV, right? So the $90 tablet that I purchased, it was no marketing. It was like, it's on clearance, right? That's the only marketing it had. I never heard of it. I looked it up online. It was some reviews, of course, looked it up online, right? I'm in the store looking it up online, right? The reviews were good. And I said, you know what? This may be a great purchase. And it blew my mind when I turned it on and how fast it was and just how great it is. It's actually the tablet right there.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
It's awesome. It is awesome. Now I have a Surface tablet right over there that's running that right there, right? And that one is just, I paid close to $1,000 for that tablet. And I mean, it's let me not talk bad about anything. But to come back to what we're talking about, it's unfortunate that, it should be more attention put into the maintenance and the updating of it. However, the reason that new devices come out so much is because the technology changes so rapidly that a code I may write today may break tomorrow, right? I don't know that. My users tell me. So it's not like I go to every single website I've developed every single day. So it takes for a business owner to call me to say, hey, matter of fact, with one of my top clients, I wrote a code for their website. The website was extremely successful. It brought in close to $100,000 within like 5 months of just customers using the website to inquire about services. It's an apartment complex. And the property manager, she said, it's something wrong with the gallery. I said, well, what's wrong with it? And, she tells me what the customers are telling her. So I then go check it out and I say, you know what? I just need to write new code. So I said, I'm just going to put out an update to make the website look completely different than it looked before. So now this new update would be a refreshing one, opposed to that I just fixed that little segment. And people should look at their businesses like that. They're not going to be perfect, okay? But as long as you put it out and it's good, right, and you're confident about it, you can always go back and refresh it and make it better and innovate it. I like to say innovate it. You know, so a lot of times when people have websites, they never go and update it, ever, ever, ever. You know, they may pay somebody to do their website, and they'll never talk to that developer again. And 5-6 months later, their content is outdated. They may have added a new service. They may have customer testimonials they want to highlight. It's things that they may not even thought of, right? Maybe they were featured on, you know, Men's Health magazine or something, or Essence or something like that. That social proof are things that they can use on their website to show that they've been as seen on, you know, those kind of networks, which will help with conversions and build legitimacy and credibility. But if you don't have a relationship with your web developer, then that all goes in vain, because you're missing opportunities, and you don't want to miss opportunities in this competitive industry, or a competitive market, rather.
You know, you brought up a good point there about how people, they just build a website and they leave it. And like you said, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months down the road, you've done other stuff or you've changed your product. How come, you know, it's amazing that people don't think to update their website.
Yeah, and you're right. You know, it's very unfortunate that people don't care too much. I think that, see, look, the tablet is just going to cut off on me. See, it just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, no, you know that's because you were talking bad.
Yeah. Now this tablet that's very inexpensive is still going. You see it back here? It's still going strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the websites I built for a real estate company who sells real estate, and that's a demonstration of the website being used, and that's key too. So a lot of times, after you have a website, how are you promoting it? Just saying, hey, everybody, look at my new website. Well, our company takes it a step further, and we'll actually do actual demos to show people how your website can be used day to day with real people holding your device and utilizing it. Because video gets more conversions than images, and images gets more conversion than text. But a lot of time you see a lot of business owners that are just putting on their Facebook or social media, check out our new website, blah, blah, blah.com. It's no video. It's nothing to engage with anyone. So, the strategies we have are very advanced, but if people don't really take heed, then their business is never going to gain that explosion that they need. And, for me, that's what it's all about.
Right. Okay. Well, as long as we're talking about this, how can let's say a new business owner, they're fresh, they got that ideology. How can they go about creating a website? I mean, it doesn't have to be, jump off, universal pictures, explosions everywhere. They can start with something simple, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to hit back on, not the first website I've created, but the first major website I created for that charity. And that one didn't have explosions. It wasn't extra cool. And, but for people who know nothing about HTML, they can use services like Squarespace. I mean, if they're comfortable with WordPress, I would stick with those two. I wouldn't venture off with the other ones. Squarespace is really, really good. So even people like, I'm an advanced developer on Squarespace because they analyze my code and, see what I'm doing and understand that. Now if you don't know anything about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, you won't be an advanced developer on there, which gives you special privileges. However, you will be able to take a template and put your information in there and work things out and really get a nice professional image for yourself. And if any business owners need any consultation in regards to how to use Squarespace only in your network, let me know, and I'll spend at no cost just for you and your people. I'll spend about 30 minutes to an hour with them, giving them a breakdown of what they can expect and get them, a little familiar with it. Now, within that hour, they're not going to know how to do explosions and CSS slides and reveals and, slide left, right. They're not going to know how to do all that. But that stuff is not necessarily needed. It's just it's like this lapel flow. I mean, it's not needed on a suit. It's just a little pizzazz.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if you're the deli owner, really, I don't care if you got explosions. I just need to know what your sandwiches look like. So as long as you can show, you know what I mean? Because people go to the website to see what you're doing. So I need to know if you got a juicy looking roast beef, or pastrami on rye. I need to know what that looks like.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. People try to cheat, and what they try to do is they try to use their Facebook pages as their websites. So sometimes they'll get like a website domain that'll say, facebook.com/tech from vets. And then they'll put that on their business cards. Like that's their actual website. And it's not. And I can understand you adding it to your business cards as, something in your, network of social presence platforms. But to actually, deem that as your website is totally discrediting your brand. And what you say is key. We need to know, for me, it was so hard finding this ascot or cravat, as they call it. It was so hard because it's only 2 people in Northeast Florida, 2 businesses that sell it, and both of those businesses didn't even have it on their website.
I know you brought that to their attention, right? You did bring that up.
Well, I tried to, but I was talking to a cashier. So getting to the owner is not as easy as getting to me, right? I mean, owners are not accessible anymore because they don't understand how important it is to have their face out there because they believe that they're too busy. They have all these, people in place to do so. And they don't need to be visible. So, would it be hard for me to get to him? No. Or him or her? No, it wouldn't be hard to. But for me, have you ever realized when you tell people what they have going wrong, they don't always take it as well as someone who you talk to about what you would like to see, and then they agree, right? And they're like, you know what, you're right. I think we need to do that. But sometimes when you tell people, hey, this isn't right, I really didn't like this, that, or the third, they're just like, oh, well, we've been doing that forever. It's okay. Our numbers are good. We're hanging in there. We got you, right? How'd you find out about it? So,
that's a very valid point. The difference in mentality from old school, we've been around forever, so we don't have to change anything, and we're established, to the new school where it's like, yeah, tell me what you need and we can make it better. So I want you to come back.
Yeah. And that's when the article, you should run your business like a tech startup. That's what's key, is constantly innovating. I read over my article and I noticed that my profile description was missing the letter A. So instead of saying, you know what, it's okay, I changed it, right? Because that's going to bother me because I care about my image. And we love to work with people that care about their professional image. If you care about your business and you care about your professional image, we're the people that we want to talk to you. If you don't care what your customers think, if you don't care about expanding, if you don't care about bringing in extra revenue, if you don't care about reaching people, then we're not the kind of people to talk to. So Coca-Cola is the kind of people we want to talk to, right? Because we can have a conversation and I can give them different keys that they can use that they haven't thought of. They can give me some insight on how they've been so successful. Maybe they're leveraging something that I never thought of before, right? So there's ways that we can collaborate, but it's a collaboration. You can't collaborate with people who just think everything is fine or they don't care or, their numbers are good, so it doesn't matter. So that's the issue we run across is that, people just don't care about their business. They act like they do. but they really don't care, because their passion is not to truly grow. Their passion is to just be okay. And it only takes your store to get broken into and you to lose $20,000 worth of merchandise for you not to be okay, right?
Right.
If you had those customers in the pipeline that were constantly coming, then you would be all right. But it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the battles we have to face in this technological world.
Well, yeah, and you did touch upon something very important there when you said just being okay. It seems like this country went from being achieve, always grow, always get better, to mediocrity is okay. Just being mediocre is okay.
Yeah. And
if you're going to run your company like a tech startup, then you ain't worried about being mediocre.
Oh, no.
You go for the overachievers. You're looking for the
yeah. Preach.
Yeah, and that's actually my big pet peeve. So that's always in one of my keynotes, speaking about when did mediocrity become so acceptable?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I hate being average. And for me, I love the fact that all the other companies want to be average, because that gives me a chance to educate. It gives me a challenge. And like, for instance, I was at the barbershop today. I go to the barbershop probably 3-4 times a week. And because not to talk, but to get, to make sure I'm keeping my professional image up. And I was talking to my barber, and he said, I cut a guy. Well, he cuts a guy that has his own tech company. And I said, awesome. What's his name? And he gave me the guy's name. And I said, okay, let me look him up on Google. So I couldn't find him on Google. I looked up where he said that the guy said his shop was, and I couldn't find it. And then the barber, he said, I want to let him know about you, Dr. Shuford, but I don't want it to be anything about competition. I said, well, he's no competition with me. I dominate. I mean, he's no competition. To me, it's not about customers and sales. That's not what it's about. It's about notoriety and legitimacy and credibility. That's what it's about for me. That's what it's about for tech startups, right?
Right.
So, that's why, I don't feel as though they're competition, because you can't compete with someone that I have a quote graphic on my Facebook that says, you can't beat a person that doesn't quit, right? So average people quit when it's too hard. They quit. It's too hard. I don't want to do it. I was at my daughter's school today, and the director said, I would like for you to talk to the teachers. And I said, sure. What would you like me to cover? And she said, well, I've noticed that they don't want to go back to school, and they don't have any other skills other than the one that they have now. And teachers don't get paid that much. And I said, that is very unfortunate that teachers don't get paid that much. So if teachers who's teaching my child do not want to go back to school,
what does that tell you?
That everything is built around average. They say they don't have the time. They do not have the time, right? But you make time for things you really want to do. Let's be honest, right? You make time to go out on the weekends, right? I love people that work 40 hours a week who say, I don't have enough time to do anything else, when they have 2 days on the weekend. What are you doing then? You work Monday through Friday. What are you doing Saturday and Sunday?
Playing catch up.
You have 48 hours on those days. You only need 8 hours of sleep. So what does that leave? What, 40 take away? Is that 32 hours, I think? I think that's like 32 hours. Yeah.
Well,
I think you got 30. So you can't do anything in 32 hours. Let's say you spend time with the kids and stuff like that. You can't do anything in 15, 16 hours. You can't do.
Well, you brought up again, valid point. People will make time for what they want to do.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily make time for what they need to do.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Sorry about that.
Humans are very driven for what they want, not for necessarily what they need. Needs are boring.
Yeah, exactly. And you're absolutely right about that. Let me mute this phone here.
So let's say you're a newbie and you want to start. What are some of the key points that you want to include on a website?
You definitely want to have your contact information on there. Of course, your homepage should be, it shouldn't be filled with too many, it's like, why buy the cow when the milk is free, right? You don't want your homepage to be littered with so much information that people don't want to look at, all the other links that you have on there. You definitely want to have, like you said about the deli, you want to have pictures of your service or product. You want to have social proof. So if you have customers, legitimate customers that like your brand and that have reviewed it, you definitely want to use that and you should integrate that somewhere on a homepage, because having an actual page for testimonials, people don't read testimonial pages because they know that the business is only going to highlight the great ones, right? So you definitely want to have, social proof. You want to have, if you do have videos, you should incorporate videos. For instance, for this podcast right here, what I would do is I would take the recording, chop it up so you wouldn't see me actually look at my phone and all that other good stuff, right? And then edit it. We like editing video, and then that's content that if I was interviewing with another business or something like that I would feature on the website. Any kind of great content. Content is king. Content is king. So just great content, contact information. Who are you? What are you about? What's your bio, right? And nobody really cares where you went to school, right? Everybody cares of why are you passionate about what you're doing? Why did you start your business? What was the problem you were solving? What does your service do to solve that problem? And most importantly, what is different about your business than all the other ones without bashing people by name? What's the difference between your brand and all the other ones, even the giant ones? What makes you special? So highlighting all that on your website would definitely be beneficial for your brand.
Okay. And don't forget your social media links.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right about that. I believe that you are a little bit more, you are more experienced on social media than I am. I'm an app developer, web developer that has no choice but to embrace social media.
Well, that's how I ended up doing this. I work in media, so I have no choice but to embrace the beauty of social media.
Yeah.
You know what? You brought up a point that I was going to touch upon. When everybody will say you don't see so-and-so as a competitor, don't compete with them. Okay, let's think. Let's be real. If there was no such thing, why are you worried about competition? Because I can assure you, McDonald's is not worried about Burger King, who's not worried about Wendy's or Hardee's, or, out here we have Carl's Jr., we don't have Hardee's. Yeah. But one human's going to go to all of those. There's not one person, unless you're just one of those people who's never been to a fast food in your life, very small margin there, but you are going to know what each one of those hamburgers tastes like. And on any given day doesn't mean, I can only eat at McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. And what you say is key, and it's all because of their reach, right? Their reach, right. They have enough people in the pipeline that if they lose you and I, they still have more people coming because their marketing and their reach is so strong. So right. McDonald's just had an issue with the Happy Meal watches. Does that mean that we won't get a Happy Meal from my daughter here in the next week or so once the watches are out of the Happy Meal? No. When my daughter says, "Dad, I want a Happy Meal," and I see they have something other than watches, maybe some kind of furry doll she wants, I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to do it. So, it's all about marketing. And the reason why we choose McDonald's for her is because it has a toy, right? So if we're on a long road trip to do a conference or something like that, to speak at some event, we have to keep her quiet. So we have to. We're forced to, because they're the only ones that have any good toys. I don't know why the other
Oh, come on, Burger King has toys. Just depends
I
on
mean, really, I mean, they're not the now McDonald's is partnered with Disney, right? They partner with. My daughter doesn't want a Burger King toy. My daughter wants a McDonald's toy. She wants that toy she seen on TV when she was watching her kids show,
There you
right?
go.
It's all about marketing. So when she watches her Sprout Network, she sees that new McDonald's toy, and it stays in her mind as a 4-year-old. As a 4-year-old, Dad, I want to go to McDonald's. Why, Angelina? Oh, because they have the new, I think, Stuffins toy. Oh, okay. And I just kind of shoo it off, and she'll remind me when we're there or when we drive past. Dad, let's go to McDonald's. And I'm like, okay, thinking because we're hungry. No, she wants that toy, right? She has that. She's not thinking about food. She's thinking about that toy. So I stop at McDonald's thinking she wants something to eat. I give her Happy Meal. She's trying to get the toy, right? So it's all about marketing. So McDonald's doesn't care if Burger King has a toy because they know that they partnered with giant toy companies, right? They partner with Disney, Frozen, and all these other great things that our kids like, and they market it on the proper networks that kids want to see, that kids are at. Now, you can't target adults like you can target kids. No adult's going to sit there and watch the Sprout Network, unless they have to with their child, right?
Well, yeah.
So the majority
Actually, I was going to comment on that because a lot of people who buy the McDonald's Happy Meals, because I remember they weren't the little pound puppies, but they were those tiny ones that were like pound puppies, and it was like a real big deal to collect. And a lot of adults collected those bad boys, and they didn't even have kids. They would just go because they knew they could get those little pound toys or whatever they were. They were collectibles back in like the 90s. There were these little dolls. And I knew more adults that went and got them because they were collecting those. And I don't even think they even knew what a Happy Meal was.
but what you say is right? So and to side note off that, in regards to the kids network, what I'm saying is, with my daughter's, she watches she watches child programming on the cable. So McDonald's does also promote their Happy Meal toys on other networks, right? They promote it on regular TV, but they're more aggressively marketing to kids, right? Because they know the kids will tell the parents, right? But what you say is true. If I'm looking on TV and I see a McDonald's toy they have coming out that's something from back in the day that I remember when I was a kid, maybe like a Gumby, something Gumby related, or something that's just cool and hip. I think we were talking about like the fur babies. I think that's what they were called.
Yeah, that's what they were. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Cabbage Patch dolls were very popular too.
Oh, do we want to go there? But it's funny you should bring that up because when we were little kids, everybody was trying to get to the little toy in the cereal. And that's how cereal companies used to get their cereal sold. Certain cereals that had those little toys in them. You would dump out an entire box of cereal. Your parents were mad because you were trying to get at that little toy.
Yeah. And do you see how fun it is for us to talk about this, right? Essentially, break it down, we're basically having a great discussion about marketing and how it works, and how when you don't know if that person that's going to reach in that cereal box, right, is going to like that spoon or not, or that cool toy that you have in there. You don't know if the manufacturer that put the toy in there may come out with a recall in 2 weeks and destroy your whole image for a whole month. Right. But what you do know is, that if you think innovative, right, and you try to think of a strategy that you can get people interested and excited about your company, then you have a bigger chance of converting that customer for the long run. And now that customer will talk about you like we're talking about fur babies that were in Happy Meals, which means we're talking about McDonald's. So their marketing is still working.
Right. Yeah, because fur babies haven't been around for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. So, and people don't actually think that they don't think of that in their modern business. they're just like, okay, I got to get the first customer through the door. Well, getting them through the door is not the problem. I don't care if you come the one time. I need you to come back 10 times, and I need you to tell some friends and bring them in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like, for instance, so let's say I had my competition here, right? And my competition went on before me. And you did the competition's introduction. You say, hey, I want to introduce you to Dr. Shuford's competition. They've been in business for 52 years. They've been building apps for 20 years, since apps even hit a desktop computer. They've grossed over $5 million in sales in 3 months, and this is so-and-so, right? Those people are going to talk, right? Then you come to me. Hey, everybody, another special guest, Dr. Jeff Shuford. Dr. Jeff Shuford operates a veteran-owned, veteran-operated technology company who was just featured in the Huffington Post, the Jacksonville Business Journal, among others, and is a writer for the Huffington Post. Who's going to have more legitimacy? The guy that's been around forever, or this guy right here who has more recent success and recent notoriety, right? So, that's where we're headed right now. So, like you said, it's not enough for people to listen to what I say. They need to know that I'm an expert talking to them, because so many people are getting on podcasts and webinars who are teaching people to do things that they don't know anything about or very little about, so that they can increase their email list, right? Because that's revenue for them, right? So they can increase the ads, the ad space on their websites, right? You know, I never get advice from a guru who has no success in the industry that I'm watching. I don't like hearing people speak about sales, right? Those sales gurus who's only been a professional speaker. Like, you've been a professional speaker for 30 years. You may have run one company in 1987 that did great for 5 years, but now it's you focus now on just speaking. I would rather speak to that entrepreneur who has seen new success, because it's a new market. So, it's like us saying, so I would like businesses to think about this. It's like us saying, hey, you know what we should do? We should, at the deli, let's say we own a deli, we should put toys in people's bags, right? So when people get the bag, they're going to see a toy and be like, oh, they're trying to be like McDonald's. Well, what is it? I can go to McDonald's, let's get that. You gotta reinvent the wheel. Like, you can't think of things that happened in the past. You have to think of, what can I do for the future? And what you say is key. People just want to go out here, okay, I have a great product, I'm just going to sell it. This is the issue with BlackBerry, right? Hey, we have a great phone, it's security, the president used it, let's sell it. They don't focus on press. They don't do anything that tells everybody that this is the greatest phone ever, right? You have to special order this. It's not even in stores. So if people don't know about it, how can they buy it? So now BlackBerry's facing bankruptcy. Why? Because they figured they were so big, they had so many old successes, that they didn't need to reach that newer demographic of people. But Apple did, right? Apple understood, right? Android and Google understood. So who's benefiting from the changes in the market? Obviously not BlackBerry, right?
Right, that's true. They're not. And that brings us to another point with being mediocre. Mediocrity will get you out of business and bankrupt a lot faster than trying to chase technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's, while we have a few minutes, why don't you tell everybody how they can get in contact with you?
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot. You can go to my website, techfromvets.com. That's techfromvets.com. Once again, we are veteran-owned, veteran-operated. Of course, you can go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/techfromvets. We also have a Twitter, twitter.com/techfromvets. You can also go to the Huffington Post and hit search and type in Tech from Vets, or you can see our recent feature in the Jacksonville Business Journal. So there's a ton of ways that you can. I'm trying to figure out Instagram right now. So Instagram, but I didn't promote it because I'm trying to. I don't like how on Instagram I can't post on a desktop. I have to have it on. I have to post on my smartphone, and I have a BlackBerry. I mean, I also own an Android too, but my primary phone is a BlackBerry. So it's just it's depressing that I can't post on a desktop. But that's to let everybody know that you always want to innovate. So just because you can't do it doesn't mean I didn't give up, right? I'm always looking for, and I'm speaking into existence that, hey, I need to get on it, right? I need to get on it, especially like Meerkat, Snapchat. I need to really exploit all of those mediums for.
This is true. If you're gonna do Instagram, Instagram's real good for memes. So you know how you like to create the little memes, create some memes, and just like you do Pinterest, you can actually click on them and send them to your Instagram from a desktop app. By the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
See, that's technology. See, you're letting the technologists know about stuff. And everybody listening, you will not know everything about technology. So quit thinking you got to know how to do HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You need to know how to build apps. No, you don't. If you don't have the revenue, you can leverage technology. Okay, you can leverage technological services. But let's not forget, if you care about your brand, you need to invest in it. I invest more into my brand than anything. When a customer gives me compensation, I invest that back into my brand. I don't care if I'm taking an executive out for a round of golf on me. I don't care if I'm taking them out to eat on me, right? I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm sponsoring events here or there, I'm always investing into my brand, always. So I don't mind if a new technology comes out and there's a company that can build me something that may be fairly expensive for my budget. If I know that I can utilize that technology to increase my exposure, I'm going to purchase it. I mean, I'm just going to do it. And time is money. So I'm going to dedicate my time to spend time to reach more people. So we got to unlock this mind state of, oh, it's too expensive. I don't have time. Because if you're trying to have a brand, then if you're the owner, those excuses don't matter.
True. And and even if you're the owner and you've got a staff now, you still need to be involved in your business.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah. I lead the way for my vice president and my CFO, right? I mean, they look at me to see how hard that they should be working. And both of them are in real estate school right now. My vice president works 40 hours a week. He's in real estate school. And of course, he's the vice president of my business. He coaches all his sons' sports teams, and he has a wife.
Somewhere in there, right?
Has a wife, so he has that family aspect. And he has 2 more classes to finish up his bachelor's degree. So I can't
time
to do something because he's like, "What are you talking about?" So. You want to have people around you that if you have an excuse, they'll immediately squash it and say, wait a minute, that's not true, right? You can do this. You can do that. So if you have people in your life who are saying, okay, all right, well, maybe next time, or, oh, you'll get it soon, or, oh, you need to not cut them loose, but you need to stop letting them occupy your mental real estate.
Good point. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us for this edition. And again, thank you, Dr. Jeff, for your inspirational, supportive techniques. And we will see you again next go-round.